we have some time for questions. And I guess our
Oh.
first question goes back to, it's a little bit of a technical question, but it has to do with water conservation and water circulators. So Zach, you might be the best person for this, but Shanika, chime in if you have thoughts as well. Basically, the person posing the question says that they, already try to use cold water as much as possible for dishwashing and clothes drying, but they have an on-demand hot water heater, and they lose a lot of water in their home as they're waiting for hot water to reach far away faucets. And they were wondering what you all can say about hot water recirculators at individual faucets. So if you could just talk about what that technology is, how it might work. Otherwise, we can try to track down an answer from someone else.
I would probably point I guess I have one question back to the individual. When they're talking about the recirculate, they're not talking about the heat exchanger water heaters, correct?
I don't think so. I mean, you could talk about heat exchangers a little bit, because I do think they're an often overlooked energy saving tip. And given how much energy in the home goes to water heating, I think it would be cool for people to know about that. But my guess is this is a little bit different.
Okay, so unfortunately, I can't answer your question to the full extent about the circulatory, but definitely I can see what resources I can provide back to you guys to send out. But in regards to the heat exchanger, right? So the heat exchange, what that does is now it removes the need for you to have the big hot water tank, right? So that at least is a $600 or $700 cost right off the top. Never mind the energy that it takes to heat up the water, have the water be constantly on heat, especially if it's gas powered or electrical in that nature. What the heat exchange water heater does is, as soon as you turn on your faucet, it sends that signal to the heat exchanger. It starts pulling water through and does like an instant heat up of that water before it's dispersed through your household. So I don't know if that could help solve your problem as far as the circulatory aspects, but it does it can help in removal of the actual hot water heater itself. And under the IRA, that may be included in energy efficient improvements, and there could be some funds available for its installation.
Great. Zach, do you have anything to add on that? Otherwise, I'll move on to our next question. Cool. Okay, here's one. Is a heat pump worthwhile in my area where nighttime temperatures are dropping below freezing every single night? So anybody eager to take that one?
I would say all the studies that we're getting about heat pumps is that they are efficient even in below freezing temperatures. So the technology is absolutely, up to par. It is getting better and better every year. Other countries have moved to heat pumps at astonishing rates. I think like Asia is at 90% heat pump installation rate for their homes and apartments. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. I've seen pictures of heat pumps with snow on them. And like people are still happy in their homes. So I don't think it's something to fear. I think the technology is pretty robust and effective.
I'll add to that and say there's a few different types of heat pumps that are, different ones might be best for different sizes of homes and temperatures. So I recommend getting a couple contractors to check out your home and recommend the one that's going to work for you, but have also been hearing the same. We have a colleague who lives in Chicago where, certainly it gets quite cold, and knows a contractor who's installed lots and lots of heat pump systems in recent years, often with gas backup for people that were worried about this. They've never had to use the gas. So they've been getting better and better, and there's lots of tax credits that can help you make that switch if you're interested.
And I will say, everybody's excited to talk about heat pumps. So at Environment America, we have a campaign called our Clean Energy Homes campaign, and this Clean Energy Home Toolkit that this webinar is part of, is aimed at helping all of us make our homes clean energy homes. We're planning an additional webinar and resource sequence early in the spring, specifically on heat pumps. And so we'll do a real deep dive into the different technologies at that point, what the pros and cons are and what the current state of the technology is and how to tap into the tax credits and rebates. Because we need massive deployment of this technology in the United States. Our goal in our campaign is to get 75 million heat pumps installed across America by 2025. Which is a big goal. And it means people like us need to get ourselves educated and figure out, how we can be part of the solution as we, replace heating systems. All right. Here's a question from Bruce. It's a question about attic and wall insulation. Bruce says, I need to address both items in my home. Are there programs in place to help the homeowner with the very substantial cost of insulation? Shanika, Zach, anybody want to take this on? Great.
Shanika, you want to go ahead?
I would say with that, I think that's where the energy audits really come into play there too. But because it technically should qualify as making your home more energy efficient. I mean, that's what insulation does, right? There should be some costs to offset that for you. Provided in the IRA, but again, like I said, one of the best bets to try to use that is to try to use like an estimator or a calculator from that perspective. And sometimes it's going to be really dependent upon your income, which is going to be a big driver of some of the funds that you could get back. Zach.
Okay, so I would say that I totally agree. As we're looking at what's in the, all these incentives, right, in the IRA from the Rewiring America, and which all of y'all know about, is weatherization is only $1,600, which of course an attic insulation can be up to 20 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand sometimes, or wall insulation, right, because they have to get in there, blow stuff in there, so it can install stuff. So what I would say is go through Weatherization Assistance Program, the WAP program, if you are income qualified. They fund various county programs, various city programs. Like Joanna said, there's $3.5 billion more going to weather assistance programs to, weatherize millions of homes around the country. I've seen them in homes. There's a little bit of a wait list sometimes, if there's only a couple of staff doing it in your county, which it can be the case sometimes, especially if you're outside of larger cities. But if you are income qualified, you should connect with the local distributor or community partner of the Weatherization Assistance Program, and they can do up to $20,000-$30,000 worth of work in your home, starting with insulation. Then they get to the furnace, then they get to the windows, but they will start with that sometimes. So that's where I would look to.
Yeah, thanks both. And I just put a resource in the chat from Department of Energy on how to find out if you can qualify for that program and where to find your state point person to get started. There is also new funding from the infrastructure law that passed last year for a revolving loan program where, a lot of these improvements take money up front, but then you save the money back. So there's going to be more funding for those types of programs across the country as well. So there should be more options to figure out how to finance these types of programs.
So great. All right, here's our last and final question. It says, will there be a link to the recording of this? And will you be sending out any links for more info and the programs available? It's a perfect question to end on. We plan on posting a recording of today's event on YouTube and send everyone who registered for the event an email with a link to the recording, as well as links to the resources that we've shared today in the chat and the Q&A. And then, like I alluded to, in addition to us taking steps to make our homes clean energy homes that are efficient, one of our hopes from doing this event is that everyone shares these resources with your friends and your families so that as many people as possible take advantage of these opportunities to save energy, save money, make our homes more comfortable, and reduce pollution to make our planet more livable. So with that, I want to thank our panelists, Zach, Lisa, and Shanika. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a true pleasure. And thank you to everyone who came today. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.